of this meeting of the Warren County School Board to order. I want to welcome everybody who's joining us tonight. For those that are watching online and want to follow along, tonight's agenda can be found at our website, warrenschools.com, and under the board tab and under meetings. Can I get a motion to accept tonight's agenda?
Motion.
Got a motion by Ms. Best. Second by Mr. Zeckman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And will please stand for the pledge led by Mr. Bennett.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seated. Can I get a motion for approval of tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Colwell, second by Mr. Judkins. Got any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approves. All right. Carrying on, there is no public comment for tonight's meeting, and we'll move on to the student advisory report.
Alrighty, I'll be starting us off. I'm Bethany Manera. I'm going to start off with our sports news. Our Pioneer Pride Band, they went to Marietta, Georgia last week where they won 3 awards. Our JROTC is starting their collection on Operation Christmas Child in November. I'm going to go ahead and move on to club news. We have from DECA and FBLA. They sponsored our October Shower Our Teachers with Kindness. They sponsored our teachers with biscuits from Chris Cope at Crispin's Market. Our FFA went around the county teaching 3rd graders all about agriculture on the Farm Bureau Farm Day. And our FFA members represented us very well at the MTSU Raider Roundup. For Multicultural Club, they raised the majority of our $1,194 for the kids of the community. They raised $747. From NHS, they are visiting the Webb House on Halloween as one of their service projects for this year. Our Pioneer Ambassador program is planning on taking a group of students on a 2-week trip to Strasbourg, France in June 2024. And our select choir will be having their annual Halloween show later this month.
Now for your school news, we have our 5 Excel teachers are Mr. Steve Hillis, Stephen Martin, Naomi Harmon, Joe Collier, and Angie Carter. Chris Madwell was presented with the Impact Influencer Award by the U.S. Navy. Halloween extravaganza for October 31st, there will be 5 costume categories. The Ayers Foundation counselors are taking seniors on a visit to TTU on October 26th. Parent-teacher conferences are scheduled for Monday, November 6th from 3 to 6 p.m. And then the Veterans Day program is scheduled for Friday, November 10th.
I'll be continuing this with our Student Advisory Committee meeting that we had with Mr. Hobbs on October 19th. We talked about the club rotation being canceled for the time being, and Mr. Hobbs is actually approving them case by case whenever they're requested. We are doing a pumpkin decorating contest in our advisory classes, and then whatever class wins will get a reward. Our gym floor is in the process of being refurbished and should be completed within the next few days. It's going to be sanded down with a fresh coat of paint and wax. Mr. Hobbs spoke with Mr. Martin to see if his classes could construct some bench swings for our courtyard. And then we're actually doing a door fob system for our classrooms, and that should be kind of done around Christmas time. And then we're also having some cosmetic improvements around the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for advisory before they sit down?
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Good job.
All right. Moving on to recognitions.
All right, good deal. We are happy to recognize our classified employee of the month is Miss Lori Cagle, and Miss Jennifer Basham is here to tell us why she nominated them. And they're going to love me for doing this, but we're going to go up here to do this. Yeah. I knew that was going to happen.
If you were 9 and 10-year-olds, I wouldn't be nervous, but I'm nervous.
All right, I'll turn it over to you.
You're going to get in the middle. It's like I told Mr. Swallows, I've been teaching for 22 years now, and this is the first time I've ever made a nomination. And I'm actually disappointed in myself for that, because we have some wonderful teachers and staff. Lori always touches my heart every day. She is such a huge asset to me as an education assistant. Her contributions to other staff, the students, and myself are invaluable. I see Lori go beyond the minimal requirements of her job each day. She juggles many responsibilities and is often pulled away from those to help elsewhere, leaving her with lots of her own work to catch up on. Some of that's mine. I want to also share that while Lori could be doing something for herself or even for her own family while waiting for her grandson to finish ball practice after school, you'll most likely find her in her room working on schoolwork. For those reasons and more, I believe Lori Cagle is a worthy recipient of an Employee of the Month award.
So this is a great picture of what we have in our district. People that work very well together. And so thank you, one, for nominating, and thank you
makes it
for the work
easy.
you do. All right, so we're gonna take a picture here. Come on in here, Jennifer. All right, wait, hold on, we got, this is like paparazzi. All right, congratulations. Thank you. All right, so we also have a special recognition. Lauren, why don't you come up here? Coach Holt, why don't you come up here with us so she doesn't have to stand here by herself. So allow me to introduce to you state champion Lauren Slatton. She is an individual girls state champion for this past year. So a little bit of background about her. She's won 30 events. She was the low medalist in 30 events throughout her high school career. And she, this year, has been the district, region, and now state champion. She won the state championship by just a measly score of 8 strokes. So she really gave nobody else any hope in that thing. So I think if you've been around for a while, you've heard her name because she has represented Warren County extremely well throughout her high school career. One of the neatest stories I've heard, and I probably won't tell it right, but I still think it's really neat. She also is on the tour and doing things for the junior tour and won tournaments and has won lots of things and won a golf bag that she could carry around that would show off her awards for all that she does, but she chooses to carry her Warren County bag when she competes for Warren County because she wears that as a badge of honor as well. So I think that speaks to her character, and we want to make sure that we honor that. The guy next to her, we want to honor him too as her coach. He will be upset with me for doing that, but it's no small feat for him to make sure he goes around and takes care of him. But regardless, we always talk about honoring great achievement, and I'm not sure that we could ever honor Lauren enough for what she's done for Warren County. Her parents are also here, Jay and Elvia, and we want to honor them as well for raising such a good daughter. How about that? So with that, I'm going to present her with just a little small token of our appreciation. It says, in recognition of your outstanding achievement, Lauren Slatton, TWSAA State Championship from the Warren County Board of Education, October 23rd, 2023. Congratulations. So I could, let me just ask the board if they'll come up and I'm going to get out of the picture. All right. I'll come up and take this. Congratulations. I was in the side of the road, my wife. I said, I think
Thank you so much.
That's great.
All
It's been a good ride.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mom and Dad. Thank you so much.
We done? Are you done on that? We've got one more recognition. we would like to
Okay,
give.
yep. Sounds
And
good.
we'd like to present Mr. Colwell, appreciation for, as your service as board chair from 2021 to 2023 from all of us at the Warren County Board of Education. Appreciate all you've done for us.
Let them take a picture.
That's good.
All right, one more.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
thank y'all,
Very good.
thank y'all,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Mr. Chairman, if anybody that would like to leave, except for Mr. Colwell, he can't leave. But, we might let the Slattons leave if they would like, or the
Thank y'all for
student
coming.
advisory if they would like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome to stay.
That's right. That's
Thank you, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, moving on to facilities and resources.
David, I'm gonna let you.
I don't get to leave.
Nope.
All right, the,
Go ahead, I'm just turning this on.
okay, the facilities projects, the building projects that we've got going on. Number one, the roofing at the middle school auditorium is now substantially complete. We've got a meeting set for next week for the engineer to come and do a walkover to look at, to see if it's suitable for him, and any problems he will point them out and the contractor will get them done, and then we'll be complete. Southern Roofing was the contractor that actually done that, and I believe that's the first time we've had them to do a roof for us, and they've done a fantastic job. I will really praise them. The paving at the middle school, I'm sure if you were at the football game Friday night, you saw that. We actually allowed people to park on it, and I don't think too many people or anybody got on the grass that I saw.
They did get on the sidewalk.
I did see some on the sidewalk, yeah.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
It turned out real good. The screens, the fencing to go around the AC units at the auditorium and around the dumpster pad and all that. I've talked to Alan Hill today, and that is in the process of being made. It's just a slow process. Unfortunately, the way things are in today's world, everything is slow. The Centertown project, I was out there today. All of the blocks have been laid. They have set the steel trusses on. The decking is down, and I was actually there while the inspector came to inspect the wales for the decking. And then once that gets done, then they can start the roof, put the EPDM roof on it, and that project's really moving. It's really looking good, and it's moving very well. I'm very pleased. The brick has not arrived yet. They were having a problem with the actual color of the brick matching what was already there. You wouldn't think that just in 13, 14 years that it would be that different, but unfortunately it is. And they had some picked out, but the company that was going to supply it, there was a supply problem with that, so they went with a different color from a different company, and it's actually going to cost a little bit more, but I think Alan's going to work with us to try to soak up some of that cost. But again, that project's moving real well. I'm very well pleased. The COVID center here, seems like things are moving slow. We're still in the framing stage. I found out today that they didn't order enough framing material, and they're actually waiting on that before they can continue on. But anyway, it is coming, and we give them deadlines, and we can't say nothing about it until they don't meet the deadline, whatever. But it's coming. We can actually see something's happening. That's all I've got as far as construction updates. Anybody got any questions or anything?
David, what is the contract completion date for the COVID testing center?
The COVID center, I'm not sure. I know Centertown is June, the end of June.
Centertown's is much more pressing because we are using
Because that's
ESSER
ESSER
funding
money,
with
yes.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
We converted ESSER funds into GP to complete this COVID center, so there's not that deadline that's
No.
pressing. We were told when that project started that by the end of the spring, they would be wrapping up. I don't see that as plausible right now, but, you know, you never know, they may go faster at some point.
Yeah. Hopefully.
The student advisory talked about the floor being redone at the high school. I
Yes.
wanted to give you a picture of what that's gonna look like. They added the picture of Warren County in the middle. That's the actual county,
Right.
with the WC, and so I thought you all would enjoy seeing that.
I like that. Looks good. What about the facility over, that's gonna, intern facility for the COVID testing center for the clinic?
Yeah,
Is that-
so
is that gonna
that's a good
be-
question. So they are moving in there as we speak.
Okay.
They started training today,
Awesome.
actually, with the hope, I think, what I was told was that by next week, they will start taking appointments. So, we've gotten everything moved. We started to get internet and computer hooked up and got over there, and
Had a little
someone,
hiccup.
not us,
Yeah.
someone had cut the line.
Yeah.
Ben Loman came in the next day and took care of that and got it. So we're optimistic that next week that will open to our employees, and we'll.
They said they would be
Send that out.
training most of the week this week. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good. It'll be an online portal where they can log in and make their appointments. And as we've said, the first one will be a little bit longer because they'll have to get their information. But after that, they can their average time in and out's right at about 20 minutes. So hopefully we can be able to provide.
I hope that's, yeah.
That would be history making.
Yeah.
I said average.
Average.
I said average.
Okay.
That's right.
All
All
right.
right. Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Moving on to operations report.
All right, so for the last few years, Captain Clark probably can set me straight on that. We've allowed Tunnel to Towers in Middle Tennessee to use our facilities. We think that's a great program, and Captain Clark's always great to reach out and make sure that we're good with that. But I thought you all might want to hear from him just a little update on how that's been going. So ask him to be here tonight. So we'll let him say what he wants to.
I guess it's customary to stand here with the camera.
Well, the microphone's right there, so they
Let me
will
get
pick
away
up.
from
better.
that.
We'll get on that.
First off, let me apologize for appearing before you so informally. That was not my intention. An unforeseen event kind of altered the course of my afternoon. I think everybody here knows me, what I do, both for a vocation and an avocation. So that explains A, why I'm dressed like this, and B, why Tunnel to Towers means so much to me. So briefly, Dr. Swallows just sort of asked for an update on where things stand. 5 years ago, and I think most of you were on the board, I appeared before you with this crazy idea to bring this foundation, and you were so kind as to support us. At the time, we became the first event in Tennessee. I just actually had a telephone conference this afternoon with New York. We're working on 5 for Tennessee now. In the time, just for our efforts here in McMinnville and Warren County, in the time that we've had an event here, cumulatively, over time, we've raised a little over $200,000, just under $250,000. For the foundation. For those of you that may not remember, 95% of all of the money that we raise goes directly to programs. So the overwhelming majority of Tunnel to Towers staff nationwide are volunteers. Even our CEO is volunteer, so we're really excited to be able to give that where it needs to go. This year our event saw approximately 400 runners. We're growing every year, and our foundation is doing great things right here in Tennessee. Notably, there have been several homes dedicated in Tennessee this year, notably the 2 police officers, Tennessee State Trooper and the Marion County Detective, that were killed recently in a helicopter crash in Marion County. It's very timely. It was just announced just over a month ago, I think, that we paid off the mortgage for their families. So it's a great program. We're really excited to have grown into one of the larger Tunnel to Towers runs nationwide. I'm told we're shooting for 100 runs this year. So with your blessing, we'd like to continue that. Traditionally, we've done the first weekend in June. That's what we're asking for again this year. And God willing, we'll continue our partnership with the Warren County Schools.
Well, thank you, Captain Clark. We reached out to Mr. Hobbs. He is in agreement with that date. Certainly I am as well. So we want to do whatever we can do to support you, and we appreciate they've always been great to work with us. Even if they weren't, we think we want to support it, but they go above and beyond to put on a first-class event. So I just wanted you all to hear from him, the fruits of you all approving that several years ago. As far as we're concerned, you've got that approval for continuing on. So
thank you very much. If anybody has any questions about the foundation or specifics, I'm happy to answer those as best I can. And again, thank you, each one of you, for your support of us and what we as a community are really able to do. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Pass
you.
along our gratitude to all those who participated.
To that point, let me make this very clear. I am one guy of many, many, many. So this is certainly not just the Joey Show. It's dozens and dozens of volunteers and folks that take ownership of this. So again, I can't brag on them enough and the community enough for taking ownership of this.
Well, thank you for what you do for Tunnels and Towers, but not only that, for what all you do personally for Warren County in general, because you're really a star of Warren County. So
no, that's my canine partner.
Thank you.
Vinny's not here tonight; he's home. But again, thank y'all very much. I truly appreciate it.
we've enjoyed seeing you both on the sidelines on Friday night.
We'll be there Friday.
Yep. All right.
Y'all take care. Thanks.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next thing on the operations report was an update from Transportation. Tanya Rader was supposed to do that. I believe she indicated that she might be expecting a new grandbaby anytime, so she's not here. So if that's okay, we'll push that to next month. Okay. And go ahead and ask if Mr. Ray Robinson's here to come up and talk to us a little bit about school safety, a few things. Of course, we could talk all day and night about school safety, but I wanted him to share a few items and let him speak with you all and give you an update and let you all ask questions if you have some.
Well, I do certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's been a year now, and I told you a year ago, if we were in the same place, that you should get rid of me. Well, we're not. We're making headway. We're working on a lot of things. And of course, sadly enough, we all know why we're working on it, because something that happened at Covenant in Nashville. And not just that, but Warren County is doing a lot of good things. One of the things that I brought to show you is a system that all schools have now, and it's the visitor management system. Now, that's one of the things that we're using in every school. There's a lot to be learned from this visitor management system, even for events. So I think events in the future will be something that we need to look at. When these first came out, because we didn't know what all we had, this red dot, everybody was like, well, is it expired? What happens? So actually, when this is printed, this is one that I had completed this morning. They scanned my license at one of the schools. I've let everybody at the school play with my license because I hope I'm not convicted of anything. But with that being said,
Me too.
So with that being said, here's what prints out, okay? And then the white dot is going to be placed over that. And that white dot will then bleed to show void as that badge expires. So this is the type of technology that we're using. I think the length of this technology, I don't think we begin to imagine what we can do with it yet. So I think it's a good start. We've also done a lot of training. We've done a lot of walking around in the schools, and this is Jarvis Johnson sitting back over here with the Sheriff's Department. They're doing this as well. But we're talking to teachers. We're trying to help them understand what it is that we want them to be able to feel like that they can do. Because I think that is a big deal. understanding what you can do, and simply the fact of I can't do anything. Well, that's not what we teach. That's not what Jarvis teaches, and we will never teach that. There's always something that we can do. Paying attention, walking out of a door. You know, it's easy to walk up to the door and open the door and walk out, but we're teaching people not to do that anymore. See what's outside the door before you walk out. We're talking about our schools and later the time. So all these things are going into it. Dr. Swallows has rightfully so asked me to take a look at all the priority standards set forth by the state and try to bring our schools, make sure that we're doing everything that we can to affect the door locks, the lighting, the parking, all the things that the state has deemed as these are priority issues that we should be looking at. So we're working on a lot of things, heading in a good direction. I think we're going to be at a point to where we're going to start looking at the face of the school, and we're going to cut trees that need to be cut. We're going to move bushes that need to be moved. We're going to make this as safe as we can, but folks, we're still a school. Those kids, they need to have that peace of mind when they walk in their school that I'm there to be educated, not going into an institution. And Dr. Swallow says that over and over and over, and he has sold me on that, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm not going to tell you that last year's been easy. It's very difficult to make a transition from being a police officer to being an educator. That's tough. It's a tough thing. But you know what? Your team, your teachers, that's what's doing a good job. They're doing a good job. They're working hard. Everybody is taking steps, doing a better job keeping our kids safe. And y'all are as well. We couldn't do it without you. The money that you're spending on these schools, taking care of these doors and the lighting situations, and David working with us, taking care of things that require money. That's where we're at now. We're working on those things, and it's a work in progress. But we're better. We're making strides. I feel very comfortable with where we're at. We have SROs in every school. We have multiple SROs in possibly 2 schools now. We're still losing a few from time to time. They're moving, they're going other places, but that's part of the challenge of keeping law enforcement. But we since last year we put a SRO at Warren Academy, which was a big step, a needed step, and also it makes some redundancy to where that SRO can move around if they need to, if we need help at Bobby Ray or at the middle school, other schools. So with that, I know that's kind of a nutshell. I'll try to answer any questions that you might have.
Let me expound on one thing you talked about. Each of our schools had to do a safety assessment last year. There was a multi-question document that they needed to go through and answer questions. So the state compiled all that, sent that back to us, and that's what Ray's referring to as the priority safety standards. And so one of the things that Ray and I sat down over the summer was, listen, let's attack those standards that need to be addressed. There were some priority standards. I'll give you an example, making sure that locations of school buildings are clearly identified for law enforcement if they have to come in, so that they can understand that. That's one of the things that we hope to do better with this Navigate 360 app that we're working through. And I think I've talked to you all about that. They're going to come in and electronically blueprint all of our facilities. They're going to do that at the beginning of November, and that will be uploaded, so we have all that. So Ray's been working through all of that. He mentioned trees and bushes that are in the way of cameras and all that kind of stuff. Those are all things that we've got to identify and make sure that we take care of. And that's in conjunction. Jarvis has been doing a great job with coordinating our SRO efforts, and everybody's been working on the same page. I mentioned to you in my email on Friday that our new Homeland Security agent that has been assigned to Warren County came by on Thursday to talk with me. I believe you've met with him, right? And so He's going to be another resource, and he was very complimentary of Jarvis and his team, and we're excited about having him there. Again, it's an issue we really wish we didn't have to spend any time on, but it is an issue that we're spending a great deal of time on and putting a lot of emphasis on. And I appreciate Ray and his focus on it and being a resource for our folks.
Yes, sir. Is there any special emphasis on campuses like Bobby Ray where you've got multiple buildings that has to be,
I think it just makes it a lot more difficult, and I think that's one of the reasons why multiple SROs are being put at certain places. Now, Bobby Ray's a great example. I was there today. Brad Hennessy is doing a really good job, and he works that campus as much as one person can. I think it's difficult because you've got old mechanisms, door mechanisms. I know David's team, they're bombarded with things there, so it makes it more difficult. The camera system is very important. Having multiple people that can view that camera and see those problems, because the SRO is not going to sit in the office all the time. The SRO is going to have to be out moving around. So I think you overcome it with fencing, with cameras, and I think you train the teachers to pay attention. I'll give you a prime example. It's not a Bobby Ray, but I went to Morrison this morning. I just show up. Dr. Swallows has given me the opportunity. I'll show up on any campus anytime. And I've got a radio, and I carry the radio. And I was probably checked maybe 10 doors, and I heard somebody on the radio talking to Bobby Pennington, saying somebody's walking around the campus, got khaki pants on. I can't see. Of course, I had my badge on, but they couldn't see it. And I told Bobby, I said, Bobby, it's me. I'm checking doors. So we've got teachers paying attention. And again, that if you've got 70, 80, 90 teachers paying attention, you would be really shocked at what they're going to see. And they do. They really do. I want you to understand, they pay attention. I think in the future, I think what do we do with we never allow ourselves to build a building that looks like Bobby Ray anymore. We're going to build buildings that's more conducive to safety. But we have it. We're going to work it as well as we can with cameras, with the SRO, and even if we have opportunities in the future where we add SROs, I think our bigger schools need to be the first one that we look at, and that's a big expense. I understand.
Right.
I would say just this board and prior made the decision to put that building project into place so that those buildings were connected. They still have to go outside to go to the gymnasium, but that's the only time they're outside right now. So it is much better than it was,
Yes.
but still a ways to go.
Well, I went to high school there at one time, so you can see how long that's been.
Well, and there's certainly building construction that can be done that would enclose that area. Now, are you going to make everything perfect? You're not. We can't do that. But still, we're using what we have rather than worry about what we don't have.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
But let me ask you about, you said early on in your presentation about sort of large event visitor management. And sometimes we do have large events.
Sure.
We've got lots of parents,
Sure.
grandparents showing up, which
Certainly.
is a great thing. So this is the system that we would be using. How quickly, what's the throughput time on getting parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles in and out?
You've been talking to principal.
So I've been standing in line.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
That's a great question, and Mr. Zeckman, you and I both, I have grandchildren. I'm not going, and I want to go to eat with them during. So here's the good thing about this system. This system, you can do events before they happen. So I could actually, I'm in the system. I could put my name in to go to Irvin College to the grandparents' day, and they could actually work me up an entrance badge before I ever get there.
Well, is it networked through the district? Like, for instance, at Bobby Ray, that I've presented
Great
my
question.
driver's license, would that show up at IC?
So it's in the cloud. It's hooked
Okay.
to a cloud. It's connected to a cloud. You got to remember, I'm an old country boy. It's hooked. It's connected. I'm sorry, Doctor.
No, you're right.
It is-
You're right.
it is
The
connected.
simple answer to his question is yes.
Yes.
It is connected to a cloud,
Okay.
and so any school that I go in, they're going to be able to make my credentials just by starting to type my name, and it will pop up. All the Robinsons, Ray, and the training will come. We're going to get some more trainings. We're going to get some training, and my question right now, and I think it's daily, but how often is that being checked against the National Sexual Registry database? And I think it was going to be daily, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I know that it's being checked. I just don't know how often.
Okay, let's say hypothetically, we've had a parent, or let's say a non-custodial parent who has been identified and in the system as having been problematic in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Will your system ID that person?
Define problematic.
Well, troublesome, you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, I'm being serious. Is it troublesome for the school or with the law?
Troublesome for the school.
I don't necessarily think that would be identified there. The visitor management would be. Now, again, that's why it's so important, again, that we have our visitor vestibules and things like that. Our personnel are the first people to see that, and our schools put procedures in place that would take care of something like that. And our SROs,
Right.
they are outstanding to be able to deal with situations.
Just so that the board knows, say someone is on the child sex registry, when they scan their license and it sends an alert, whatever school that would occur in, the principal, that particular SRO, and me as a supervisor are notified immediately. So we can respond if need to be for that. So
Excellent.
There's also a panic. So if the team member who's checking Ray Robinson in and they find out that I am that problem parent, I can hit the panic button and it's automatically going to send the information, send the request to the SRO, to the principal, and to Jarvis.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that are built into the system, but understand this system is built around sexual predators, the sexual deviant list that's out there. There are some things that we can add as notes in here that stays in the cloud, and that cloud will be dumped, cleaned out every year. And then the next year, the next school year, we start over, building the cloud again.
Okay.
So it's a great step in the right direction. We've got to overcome we've got to overcome that change. I hate, this is going to cause me trouble, and we're doing that. We're working that, and it's going to be a great tool for us.
Looks very promising.
Yes, I agree.
Miss Woodley at Deborah wanted me to pass along her appreciation and love for this program right here, because her exact words, we know exactly who's in the building and who's, and are they supposed to be. And I like it because, like I said, my wife and I are in and out of Deborah so much, we got the little key fob thing. It's got a barcode, we get scanned in, and Melissa scans us out up on exit. And like I say, less than 1 minute you can have that sticker put on there. She's got it down pat to probably in 30-40 seconds.
Wonderful.
So, and that was your original question. It is quick. Now, sometimes with anything, it could be a little slower one day or a little faster one day. The big events were a huge concern for a lot of people, but event management is something we can do inside this system, so it's something that we can do.
So if the visitors have their driver's license in their hand when they show up, that
So-
will
So let me preempt you there on that. Just the reason I said you've been talking to principals, they're really trying to work through this because we do have a number of grandparents' days and
Yeah.
Thanksgiving meals
Right.
there. We have a lot of people show up. So even I'll just use Urban College as an example. Urban College put out a notice saying if you're planning, please come by the school prior to that event
okay.
so that we can scan your driver's license. And as Ray said, you can go ahead and print those tags and then have those on a table when you show up. I'll get the tag, I'll add the sticker. You can't add the sticker before because over time it will void. Over the day it will void. So then they would add the sticker and hand that. And so now it's a little different at Urban College and Hickory Creek to where you've got, 250 to 300 when you go to Hickory Creek where you've got almost 700. So both schools are at various differing levels on how they're being able to accomplish that. So it's not exactly the same everywhere, but they're working hard to do it.
Well, it's
So one last thing that I will say, of course, Tennessee driver's license, we've got a barcode on it, and certainly sometimes barcodes get scratched up. It could be to a point to where it's unreadable. That's okay. The system will actually scan the information. If it scans the lettering, it turns red. It will turn red, and what it's doing is prompting the person to understand, the person that's doing that, hey, we couldn't scan the barcode. We took the information from here, check it and make sure that person still gets run through the system.
A safety net type.
Yeah.
Something else, it could be a Virginia license, it could be a Florida license, it could be, so it's not just Tennessee, because we have others. You could have somebody that's not, doesn't have a license at all. And if they would not have a license at all, then we're gonna be able to put their name in there, the information that we have, and they can still run them in the system. So, there's more than just driver's license, there's more than one way to get through this, so. It's a great step. It was an expense, but it was a great step to get started. I tell you, the Deborah does a really good job. You won't get in there without that young lady making sure that your ducks are in a row. I will promise you
You
that.
better have your bag, you better have your driver's license.
And Kenneth does a good. Kenneth is
He's
a
very
wonderful
blessed, very
SRO.
blessed. He's great.
Have your driver's license ready.
Any other questions for Ray? Jarvis, anything you want to add?
I just want to thank y'all for what you do.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I want to say that I'm having the time of my life. Sometimes it's a little frustrating, but other time, it's fun. It's fun to work with the teachers and the children of Warren County. I just want to say thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Swallows, let me ask you, since Urban College was mentioned, who is building the cell phone tower right there at the edge of campus?
I'm not sure that I know that answer.
Well, hopefully it will help cell phone service. Jarvis, do you know?
I'd say our fellow board members should be able to tell you that.
She may be able to tell you when she gets back.
So, somebody
When you
right
say
there.
edge of campus, it's not on our campus, so they would have had
It
to.
is so close. It's next to the
Right
fire
next to
hall.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody
Well,
please.
maybe it'll help.
When Ms. Best comes back, we'll revisit.
She'll
that.
know, okay.
All right, the next thing in your packet is a discussion about or approval of a club at Warren County High School. I don't know if we call it a club. I'm not sure if we should call it a club or not. But according to policy, any of this would be needing your approval. Ms. Casey Owens is with us. She is a criminal justice teacher at Warren County High School and has been approached, I don't know if that's the right term, approached by some of our folks with Warren County government, Judge Moore, Barry Dishman, about beginning this teen court, beginning this teen court at the high school. You have some information about that in your packet. Robin has visited with Judge Moore. She may want to give you some update on that. And then we'll let Ms. Casey say whatever, Ms. Owens say whatever she would like to say or answer any questions you all may have about that. Robin, you want to?
Well, do you want to go first?
so
No,
you can
go
do
ahead.
your spiel.
I figure I have to answer whatever you say.
Okay. Well, I have looked at this. I mean, it's a great opportunity for students who have an interest in criminal justice or law to be able to be involved in this. I have talked to Judge Moore about some concerns that I have, and they've been very good to work with. I mean, I guess I wasn't aware it was gonna be in this board package until it was too late for us really to work anything out for this time. But if y'all want to do it, you could go ahead and approve it. But I think there needs to be a few items addressed a little more specifically if we are gonna do it. Because, like, number one, you'll notice in here they have a confidentiality oath, which is great, but there really is no consequence should there be a breach of confidentiality. As y'all know, juvenile court is generally considered to be sort of off limits to the public. It's not a public courtroom like if you're adults. These children, juveniles that are in court, are probably also students of ours. So we need to make sure that we have, you know, if we're gonna have a group of students who are gonna listen to facts about some juvenile conduct that would be considered delinquent or some violation of the juvenile code, then, you know, we need to make sure that that information is held in the strictest confidentiality, and that it does not make its way back to the high school or into the community. So I think we need to, and I did speak with Judge Moore about that and told him of my concerns. He was very supportive of that, and not only would we need to do that, I think we also would need to have a conflict of interest process. So if the student on the court did know or have some connection with, good or bad, you know, family, job, whatever, they know the student, that they would need to recuse themselves from hearing a case about that student. Also, we discussed just a few more maybe parameters on that. We talked about the fact, I think initially they were gonna maybe be in the courtroom and then go hear a case the same day, and now I think Judge Moore has, I didn't speak with him about this, but apparently today it's gonna be on a different date, so they won't be in there with the students who were also juvenile defendants. Who don't want to be a part of it, they won't become known to the folks who aren't in juvenile court. So that was also a concern that's apparently already been taken care of. So I do think it's a good opportunity for these students, but we do have to be really, really careful with that. And I know that Judge Moore will want to do that. It will be very helpful. It is supposed to be overseen by an attorney. Judge Moore obviously is an attorney, so he would be like the person in charge of making sure that these things are done according to law, because it is a big deal. I mean, it's a really...
What kind of liability is the school system?
Well, I don't know that there's liability for the school system because it's voluntary, number one. The students that are before the judge have an opportunity to volunteer, basically, to have their case heard by the teen court. And so there wouldn't be any, they would sign a release on that. Also, it is, what the students would do is give, as I understand it, and that's why she probably should have gone first. As I understand it, it would be a recommendation to the judge, and then the judge would take or reject the recommendation and make the actual discipline, whatever that might be, the ruling on it. So, and my understanding is, and this is just from my reading of that law, which is several sections long, but is that they can do things that are sort of different than being on probation, things like that, and this might be a way potentially that they would not end up with a juvenile record should they go through and finish what they've been asked to do through these recommendations.
I think this is a good thing, but I was just, curious about the liability if we approve this,
I don't think there's any liability from the school district. These are set up in a number of different ways, and we had some back and forth questions about that because, you know, really it's a juvenile court thing. It's run by juvenile courts and districts, and not in school districts, but in a judicial district. So we talked about that at first too. Is this supposed to be just Warren County High School, or is it, you know, sort of like Leadership McMinnville for the youth, where anybody from any school? And I think that the premise is they would like it to be coordinated through just the high school, at least to begin with. And I don't know, I have no reason to believe they want to ever extend it, but I just don't know. But I do think because there are a number of questions still not completely hammered out, it is worth saying if you guys are interested in doing it, I think it would be fine to do. But I do think we need to make sure we have some safeguards, some rules, some parameters, maybe, you know, some conversations with the students and the judge and everybody before we start hearing cases. Like, in other words, I think there needs to be a little bit more, if approved tonight even, or not, but we need to set up all that on the front end before we do even applications. Make sure it's good, ready to go, and then, you know, they could do their applications and get started. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to be in charge of that, but maybe after Christmas even. I don't know if we can get it done and ready before then. I just think there's a lot of things to consider. That's my 2 cents.
Casey, you want to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll follow her. First off, thank you guys for even considering this. I hope you were able to look over everything in your packet that was sent out by email. The teen court, I was approached by Judge Moore, and it is a wonderful opportunity for the kids at Warren County High School. This has been done previously. Jimmy Haley did have a teen court back in maybe 2007, 2008. I'm not sure. Maybe when you were there.
Yes.
Teen court was a thing, so this is just being reinvented, I guess. Students, I've been working with mock trial with Judge Moore, and the kids are just, they love it. And I think this is a real life opportunity for these guys to get hands-on experience, and that's what we're all about at the school system, right? I teach CTE, hands-on learning. It's a wonderful opportunity. As I told you, we have changed it where this juvenile court will hear or offer the juveniles on Wednesday the opportunity to go through teen court program. Okay, and if they accept that, they would come back on Thursday. So the good thing about Thursday is that court would start at 1 o'clock, and that's during our advisory period at Warren County High School. So they wouldn't be missing like math class or anything very essential. So I think that's a great, and it gives us time to see if they need to recuse themselves. I do agree, the oath of confidentiality does need sprucing up a bit, and I think that if you guys do approve that, or approve this tonight, that is something that Robin will be happy to help on to make sure every basis is covered. I do not believe there is a liability issue, like she said. Trust me, I get liability. Don't want that to come back on you guys. And if the juveniles complete the sentence that is imposed, or the consequences, if you will, by the peers, by the program, then at that point they may be have their sentence excused. I don't know the proper word at the moment. It's kind of, you know how, you may not know, but like they offer judicial diversions and get things expunged off your record. And this would be an opportunity for juveniles. And we could hear cases, all types of cases. And I believe that was in your packet, the Tennessee Code annotated. One of those did offer a range. Well, I might not have included that one, actually. I apologize.
The list of offenses right here?
Yes.
Yeah, all the different ones.
There's a range of offenses that they could hear. And it is a giant panel, but there's only 5 in there at a time. So if they do have to recuse themselves, we should have plenty of students to step up. And at this time, I'm only thinking maybe once a month because it's new also. You know, I have to make sure that I can handle it, and I have a lot going on too. And I think once the kids know about the program, they may be more inclined to join that program and try to complete a sentence through that. Do y'all have any questions for me? I mean, I understand there's concerns, which we talked about, and I'm happy, and Judge Moore as well, to get that fixed for you guys.
Can we pull at that, what she said a little bit about the kids that are involved? I mean, would they be in the courtroom listening to the court? So, I mean, would they be seen by the kids that are going through the
Okay, can I answer that?
Please.
Because my understanding is now, the way good juvenile court is that, you know, it's closed to the public unless you have a reason to be in there, you're not supposed to be in there. So, I think the reason, maybe one reason, I don't know the reason, but, what I like about the fact that if juvenile court is on Wednesday, which they also have it on Monday, because that's, maybe that's truancy, but, they would not be in the courtroom during the, when they call the docket, and when people decide whether they want to plead guilty, if they want to get a trial or whatever, and they would be presented at that time. If they, you know, normally they would say, do you want to take care of it today? Do you want to get an attorney? Do you want a trial? That sort of thing. This would be another option given to those students that day, as I understand it. And if y'all want to premise it on it being that way, we can probably ask Judge Moore, and if that's not our understanding, we can come back. But they would not be in there on that day to see everybody who's in there. It would only be the people that sign the release and say, I want to go through the teen court system, that would then appear before the
That's
teen
exactly
court.
correct, the way I understood it today when I had a phone call.
So if a student violated one of these, they would get to pick if they went in
Yes.
front of?
Yes.
So at that point in time, are they going to be, when they're presenting this, are they going to be in the same room with the one that violated with the teen court? I just wonder if
Yes.
there would be some sort of
No. They would be,
possibility of some sort of retaliation at the end of it. You know, of a student and a student, and then you see them at the hallway a month later, and you've been, I know you're the ones that were,
well,
that was.
this is another thing, and again, Ms. Owens may not be happy for me to
It's
throw this
okay.
out there,
It's okay.
but another thing that could be done, at least in the beginning, is, I know you love the fact that there's a large variety of cases they can hear, but we could take out some of those as a group. Y'all could say, well, if it's an assault, we don't really want that, but we're okay with, you know, unauthorized use of a vehicle, or, you know, some of this other stuff. There are some things in here that I know are very exciting to kids, and they would think would be more juicy to be a part of, but that could be also a little bit more, like you said, somebody could get upset with it. And that is a concern, you know,
Yeah.
because they are all in one high school together
Right.
for the most part.
I will say originally, I did not realize they could see that many offenses or, you know, be subjected to that many offenses until after I had my initial meeting with Judge Moore. But to answer your question, Mr. Cope, these students will be engaging with the defendant. They will be asking questions of the defendant and the parents as well.
And so this is the extent of what the authority can be.
It could
can
be, yeah,
always
this
be, because this, like, they could not hear a murder case, because the
Right.
statute doesn't authorize that. But there are, you know, y'all can restrict that a little bit further if you would be more comfortable doing that, if you want to do it.
I think it's a good program because it gives the students who have committed an offense an opportunity to get their record explained by going through the teen court. I really think it is. I think it's a good program. It may slow down some of the other cases that they have in the regular juvenile courts, such as assault or, you know, theft or something like that thing. Could do that as well.
On this faculty recommendation form, is there only one faculty member looking at that, or will it be a
No, it's a panel.
panel? Okay.
Which, I mean, of course, I'm open to suggestions. I actually got that. Miss Akers, where she has student advisory, I asked for some recommendations because I wanted to make sure I chose, well, it's not just going to be me, that we choose the best of the best at Warren County High School.
Mr. Chairman, I think this program has a great deal of merit and a lot of potential on the upside. and I really like the idea that these students will be in a situation where they will be hearing evidence. I think it's one of the most important things that we could do is to help students understand what counts as evidence, what counts as facts, and versus what they see and hear on social media. I think that is a benefit. That's why I think the mock trial program is so important. Robin indicates there are some areas that she would like to spend a little bit more time on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely in favor of moving forward, but to do it deliberately and thoughtfully. And I want to move, Mr. Chairman, that we table a decision on this to the November meeting. Would that give you enough time?
We have a December.
December
meeting.
4th.
December,
Yeah,
It's
I'm-
early
I'm
December,
not
so it's a
thinking-
combined
meeting.
December.
Okay.
I don't think you're
November.
doing either, but I
Yeah.
can
I
do
think-
it by,
I think we can,
I can
let's
come
put
in or
it,
something.
if you accept that, I think we can work up until that time. Robin won't be at that meeting, but and I'd hate for Casey to give up another night. But we will provide it for you in the packet,
Okay.
what they come up with.
Yeah.
And then if you look at your packet and you have questions and you want to ask Ms. Owens to be here again, or for Robin to be available via telephone in the December meeting, then
Yeah.
I'm putting those words in her mouth. But
no,
sure she
I'm
can
at a
make it.
conference
Right.
that day, but I did tell Dr. Swallace that I could be available too.
Well, like I say, I think the program and the way the statute's written is just a very positive thing, and it is optional. It's voluntary if students want to go through this process. And Judge Moore actually, he's carrying a pretty heavy load. He wouldn't mind having maybe a little help along the way, and that would be a good thing. So if that's in order and everybody's in agreement, I want to move to defer until the combined November, December meeting for board action.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to table it till the December 4th meeting, and a second by Mr. Colwell. Any discussions over that?
Can I say one more thing?
Is that
No,
good?
that's perfectly fine. What do we want to work on specifically? Just the oath of confidentiality and the consequences for breaking it? I just want to make sure I understand fully.
Yeah, I feel like, and maybe the board has thoughts on that or not, but I feel like that at the least, that if they break confidentiality, they would be off the teen court. But there might even need to be a code of conduct violation for that as well, just because of the seriousness of it, I think. And then,
I think the discussion with Judge Moore or
Yes.
Barry to say that the students or the potential defendants are choosing to go the teen court route would be important to me too. I think to try to alleviate some of that concern. If they were assigned to go through teen court
Yeah.
and received a punishment, it might be much more combative when they come back. If they choose to go through teen court, then that's a different thing.
and that's what the statute says, they can choose to do it.
I think that's important.
And the oath of confidentiality has no sanctions for violation.
The oath doesn't now, but that's one of
Yeah.
the things we're gonna work on.
Well, and that's, but as it is right now, the person just signs, says, I will not disclose anything I'm not supposed to divulge, but there are no sanctions for violation.
Were there any other specifics that you guys would want
Would
maybe
we-
changed before the next meeting?
Would we want to look at this list and say, maybe, in between that and say, I don't like that particular,
Like limit the
Limit the amount of-
at least just in the beginning.
in the beginning?
Or forever, I mean,
So-
I think that wouldn't be a bad idea either, and Judge, you know what, I mean, Judge Moore may have already thought of that, and he may not gonna be planning on offering this at that, but we can talk about that and,
I was trying to look when December 4th was, because I may be able to be here, but I don't know if we have a basketball game or if
Be the first
have-
Monday in December, so
December what now?
4th, it'd be the
Yeah,
first
I'll-
Monday in December.
We have a game that night, so I will not be able to be here in attendance.
So again, I think if they've not voted yet, but if they decide to table it, I would think we would need to do some work together. Board members, I would encourage you to reach out to myself or Robin individually to pass along anything's in there that you would like to see them bring back there. And I think we can prepare something that would be, give them the opportunity to vote up or down in the December meeting.
And
I think so
also,
too.
I just want to say that this is Judge Moore's thing, not mine.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't want to tell the judge what he's going to do and what he's not. I mean, yes, I think we could say we don't feel comfortable unless we have this, but as far as some of these other things, I think it is important though to get a little more information about what were you thinking about this, and would it be okay to do that, so that we can make sure we keep the fact that these are all our students, and that it is a very awkward, potentially, situation to be in if you are a student. So we just need to make it good for everybody.
Well, he may have some great recommendations of what to take off. You know,
And
he does
he
this
was
every
very
day.
open to that. I just, we only had about a 10-minute conversation in public. I mean, you know, we ran into each other and talked for just a minute, and I was headed to my conference and he was headed, you know, the other way, and that was, you know, Wednesday night, and we've not had a chance. He said, he said he couldn't be here tonight, but that, you know, just to let him know he'd be happy to work with us.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
won't be a problem, I don't think.
We do appreciate all y'all's efforts.
Yeah,
We'll-
sure. This is
No,
good.
thank you
This is
guys.
great.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I know you guys do as well. I just want to get it all figured out, and that's why I went to Robin.
That's good.
You want to make sure we go about it the right way. So,
Thank you.
oh, I didn't know. Okay, thank you.
You need to
Y'all have a
vote.
great night.
Do it.
You
We
got a
do need
motion
to
and a
vote on it.
second.
Yes,
Yeah,
we got a
that's
motion,
what I was
second,
waiting
yes.
on. Sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries to table till December
Thank you
4th.
guys so much. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, moving on to operations, we removed the school spotlight, and I apologize for that. We will get Dibble back with us. I just, in conversations, just would ask that you keep Miss Sheila Gann in your prayers. Her family is experiencing some sickness with her husband, and so it just felt like in order to give them ample time to prepare, that we would push that to another meeting. So the next item on our operations report is the settlement agreement from the Jewel case. You were provided a very lengthy packet on the acceptance of that agreement or settlement. And so just to give you a 30,000-foot view of that, the total negotiated settlement, plaintiff's leadership negotiated a total gross government entity settlement fund with Altria of $168,250,000. $168,250,000. While I wish we were getting all of that, there were a number of school systems that signed on. We were in the filing group 1, and so we will receive, if you accept this settlement tonight, a total monetary figure of $31,938. And so ultimately, that is up to you as a board to decide whether to accept or reject that settlement.
All right, can I get a motion to accept? Settlement. We've got a motion by Mr. Judkins. Second by Mr. Bennett. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Also, next on the operations report is the TISA accountability plan. So to try not to, also several pages, I believe it was 46 in your packet. So let me just give you the history on that. Obviously, you know TISA is the new funding model, Tennessee Investment in Student Achievement. And as a part of that, our school system has to identify goals around what we are using those that money for. What you have in front of you that was in your packet is the template that was provided by the state regarding the goals that need to be set forth. And so let me just say, over the course of the last couple of years, I've told the board a couple of times that we knew this was coming. As we determined the priorities for the spending of the new money, we knew it was going to be there. We knew that there was going to be accountability around it, but the template didn't come out until August or September. So I don't have to tell the board the fact that we had already approved a budget long before that accountability template came out. But nevertheless, that template came out and established the fact that school systems need to come up with a minimum of 1 goal, a maximum of 5, related to how we are using these new funds. The required goal was related to 3rd grade achievement. All right, and so in your accountability report, you'll see that we are proposing 3 goals. All right, and so what we established first was goal statement 1. That is the requirement around 3rd grade proficiency. And this is where I'm afraid I'm going to lose you if I don't explain it very well. So the requirement by law is that we put a plan in place of how we are going to get to at least 70% proficiency in 3rd grade by a certain time frame. So what they've asked us to do is to take our current proficiency rate, which is 33.8, subtract that by the 70%, which gives us a gap of 36.2%. So over the course of the next few years, we are to put a plan in place of how to go from 33.8% to 70% proficiency in 3rd grade. Does that make sense so far? So,
did they have you, this timeline, is it a set timeline?
yes, so in the first 5 years, we have to get 15% of that gap. All right, does that make sense? So to the question that you're asking, we do not have to get to 70% at a certain time. We can establish the 70%, but we have to get at least 15% in the next 5 years. And then we have to set a goal as a board for when we get to that 70% proficiency.
So I guess my other question is, if we do not achieve the 15% in the next 5 years, will they take the funding away?
They will not take the funding away, but there is a part of the law that requires that we be identified as I don't think they're calling them priority schools, but we would be identified and the State Department of Education would come in and find out why we are using, if we are, they would basically audit us to make sure that we're doing what we need to do based on proficiency.
This is all state money, no federal, right?
That's correct. All the state money. It's all the TISA investment. Okay. So let me continue to explain. We, as a district, what we're proposing in this accountability report is that we set a rate of improvement of 4% every year. That is double the state requirement, because we felt like as a district that would put us at meeting that 70% goal by 2032, which is just under 10 years. I think if you start setting goals out there that are 20, 30 years in the future, I think those can get lost, quite honestly, because I hope to be around for several years, but I'll be honest with you, if I'm still working here in 30 years, then it's going to be a long time. So that'll be 50 years of education. So again, I think if you put those out there, they can get lost in the shift or in the shuffle. So what goal 1 is providing for is that we would meet the 15% requirement that Mr. Bennett asked me about by 2026. That would be a full 2 years prior to what we would have to meet. I think that does a couple of things. That gives us the opportunity, if we have not met that, it gives us a 2-year buffer period to make sure that we're doubling our focus on that. It's not like we're not focused on it. We are focused on that, but it gives us a little bit of buffer to make sure that we get to that 15% by the requirement of 2027. So with that being said, we felt like the third grade law was required. We felt like we wanted to establish 2 more goals, one related to math, because that would put a goal of our middle school grade band. Math 4 through 8, we did the same calculations. We took the gap of 70%. We took our current proficiency rate of 27.5%, which creates a gap of 42.5%. And we put that out to where we would, again, by the year 2032, we would accomplish 70% proficiency through 4 through 8 math. All right, so we would meet those both ELA goals of third grade ELA in 2032. We would meet 4 through 8 math by 2032 of 70% proficiency as well. All right, the third goal that's established would be around ACT. The state goal is 21 on the ACT. Our current average is 17.8. And so if you put that out by the same number of years, 2032, we would, if we increase our composite score by 0.35, then by 2032 that would put us at 20.95, and 2033 that would put us above the goal of 21.3. So those are numbers that, as I said, can get confusing. But as a part of this template, there are action steps that are identified. So if you look at the action steps, action step 1, the district will recruit, hire, and retain highly effective teachers and leaders. And then the action step 1 of funding, Warren County Schools will utilize general funds to recruit, hire, and retain highly effective teachers and leaders. General funds are being utilized to provide salary increases for all certified teachers, principals, and administrators to ensure that instructional staff are available to provide consistent, high-quality daily instruction for all learners. One thing that's important to me about this is that we are actually putting down on paper things that we are doing. This board has said over the last few years that we want to pay our folks better. That's action step 1. We've already started that process last year with this TISA funding. We will want to continue that throughout this process in order, 1, because we want to do it, but 2, we believe that to be one of the best parts of helping students achieve. So that's an action step. So with all that being said, we're bringing to you tonight this template for review. All right, so as you review that, we're going to ask you for feedback. And we have to have public feedback on that. And so if you go, you don't necessarily have to do this, but if you go to one of the last few pages, there's a timeline of we are asking you for review. At the conclusion of this meeting, I will send you the survey that you can take and provide your feedback on that. From there, it will be given to district leadership for their feedback. And from there, it will go in various levels before it goes to public comment. All right, and so we will gather public comment over the next few weeks. That will be submitted to the Department of Education, and then it will come back to you in December at that time for approval. So again, if you will hearken back to our ESSER plan, we are supposed to put this template out, these goals out, and then based on your feedback and the public's feedback, we will alter this and then ultimately submit it for approval at that point and for your approval. All right?
So it goes from the board to the district leadership, and then it does, under that, would it be going to the teachers?
Public. It would be open to them, so it's open to everyone at that
Okay.
point, to public,
Okay.
at the public comment.
I like this, and this is explained very well, you know, but as far as TISA is concerned, you know, our funding is based on ADMs, obviously. Well, our ADMs comes with weights, you know. The more money we get from TISA means the more weights that we're carrying. Most times those weights are the ones that are challenged students, you know. So, you know, what happens if we don't meet that goal? What happens?
That's what Mr. Bennett said. So ultimately, there are things in the law that are prescribed that we would have to undergo an audit to find out, are we, you know, at the simplest thing, are we using those funds to do what we're prescribing in the action steps? Then secondly, what we're saying we're going to do, is it making a difference in student achievement? So the way this was designed is they want to see these funds make a difference in student achievement. So again, just as our funds are audited in several ways, the state would come in at that point and say, we believe this to be accurate, we don't believe this to be accurate, so on and so forth, and then make recommendations for us to improve our practice and hopefully improve student achievement at that point.
Well, as we heard it, for those of us that got to attend the district meeting, you know, we were proactive in this action step number 1 with teacher salaries, because a lot of districts are playing catch up, because, you know, by 2025, you know, starting salary is $50,000.
That's right.
So at least we can check.
It's actually 2027, I believe. We've got a couple more years to get to 50.
Okay.
The thing that he said is just that if we don't meet these goals, the thing we don't want them to do is we don't want them to come in.
Sure.
Because they'll start telling us how to do it, when to do it, what to do, and we won't have any choice.
And they won't stop at just that. They'll be start looking at everything to get to come
Yeah,
in.
absolutely.
And here's the thing, I don't think these goals are that far out. I mean, 4% a year, I think we're all want to be held accountable for that. And not just us as a board, but we got to get our teachers to buy in, and I think that part about using the general fund if we need to supplement whatever we have to do to get these teachers on board and say, hey, we're going to meet this 4%. Or we may go above it the first year, and we just want to carry that on. And 4% a year for 10 years is not, I mean, it's very attainable, and I don't think there's any reason for us not to be able to hold ourselves accountable as a board and as a district to hitting those marks.
But just as a frame of reference, we went up 6% this year.
Right.
So again, we hope as we continue to improve our practice, I don't think anybody you talk to, teachers included, would say that we want our proficiency rate to be at 33.8. We don't like it being that low, because if you flip that around, that's 67% that's not proficient. So we want that number to improve. And again, I think you've heard me say many, many times, and Mr. Cope said that too, we don't mind the expectations. We don't mind the expectations. We just want there to be a level playing field, just as Mr. Caldwell said about there are some requirements that we have to do. You know, one of the concerns that has been voiced by numerous people is that the state is going to use this to try to say that we are not being successful and divert funds toward charter schools or so on and so forth. And while I think that may be an undercurrent of what's going on, I think, again, we have to continue to trumpet the fact that public schools, we take all students. We don't turn students away. And as my predecessor used to say, they're not keeping the best ones at home. They're not keeping the best kids at home. We get them all, and we're trying our best to teach them and teach them well. And we want that achievement to go up. And I believe this is something that we can do. I think it's good to have goals. We're going to work on those. And I appreciate Kathy Bryant. Dr. Bryant has helped us through this process with her work through ESSER. She's kind of taken the lead on this accountability side too. She and I and several of our district leaders sat around and talked about the numbers around it. And so I think they're attainable goals. We felt like that we only had to do one, but we felt like the middle grades should have some accountability around that. And I think the high school grades should have accountability with that. And we've all talked about numerous times wanting to see that ACT score go up. And so, again, we felt like that's a part of our accountability now. We're going to put that on paper, and we're going to attack it and go after it. So there's no real vote on that, but after this meeting, I will send you the survey so that you can provide feedback on that. And again, it's several questions, but as at your convenience, you can go in and get that. We will be giving it to district leadership, and then ultimately it will be going to the public. Okay? All right. I don't know what agenda you have in front of you. We added an agenda item later. The one I have, I think it should say PECA on there. Does it have the PECA?
Depends on operations.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I'll apologize in advance. You should have in your packet, a statute related to our professional education collaborative conferencing. The statute is there. If you will remember, I believe it was in 2020. Actually, I know it was because it was my first year in doing this. We established a collaborative conferencing team. And so that cycles through every 3 years. And so we are to that point of needing to re-survey the district into whether they want to continue with the collaborative conferencing team. I guess that's the right way to use it. And so as the board, we need you to establish a committee of how to do that process. All right. And so I want to make sure I'm saying that right, Robin. Is that's what we're needing to establish tonight?
Special question committee.
Special question committee. So anything you want to add to that? And then I'll make a recommendation.
Okay, so so we just need to do that. That what the law requires is that prior to the expiration of the first 3-year term group, which would have been appointed on November the 30th, 2020, we need to do this poll so we can see if the professional employees want to continue with collaborative conferencing, and if so, then we would need to appoint replacements. You guys would need to appoint replacements for those that would be expiring, their terms would expire.
We need that done before the next meeting?
So,
since it expires?
so hold on, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, we need to get the conference, we need to get the committee first, and then
Okay.
we have to do the poll before we.
Okay.
So really the timeline with this would be is that you establish tonight a special question committee. We would get that committee together. They would put the process through. We would survey our professional staff, and if they vote to continue collaborative conferencing, we would then have to have a special called meeting to accept that and appoint a collaborative conferencing or accept their agreement. Is that right?
To appoint the new members.
To appoint the new members. So we would have to, but that would only be if that's approved through this special question committee. All right. So what I had some preliminary conversations with WCEA, who's been our partner in collaborative conferencing this past year, or these past 3 years, and they were agreeable. And my recommendation to you all would be is that you establish the current collaborative conferencing team to be the special question team, and then we can get them together in the next week for them to work on the special question committee, and then with the goal of putting this survey out in the next week or so, so that we can have the results back, and then that would determine whether or not we need to call a special call meeting for you to accept that. So my recommendation, Mr. Chairman, would be that that you tonight accept the recommendation of the current collaborative conferencing team to be the special question committee team.
I'll put that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman. I'm moving that the present collaborative conferencing team be constituted as the special question team for the purpose stated.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Zeckman. You got a second by Mr. Judkins. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
That's it for
That's
operations.
it. No
Mr. Chairman.
curriculum and achievement, so we'll move on to other business. Legislative liaison. Do we?
Normally it's a board member.
Okay.
And.
Mr. Zeckman?
Yes.
I recommend that Mr. Zeckman be the
We have a
legislative liaison.
He will be top notch.
motion and a second by Mr. Judkins. Any questions on that? Any discussion?
It's not hard duty.
All in favor say aye. Any
Fabulous
opposed?
job.
I'm abstaining if you put that in the record.
All right, motion carries. And and the ethics panel, we had talked about that last month about creating an ethics panel, and I think we have got our panel together, and that's going to be Mr. Colwell, Mr. Judkins, and myself. We'll head that ethics panel, but we'll need to get a motion to to approve that panel, that ethics panel for the board.
I make a motion that we accept the ethics panel.
We got a motion by Mr. Best,
Second?
And that is Tommy, Larry, and
and we would you like to be?
Oh,
What
no,
would
it
you
can't
like
be
to-
more than 3.
Can't,
It says 2 to 3, I believe, but if needed, I
if
can,
need,
I
okay.
can
Advise.
help.
Advise.
But,
Consultative capacity.
what I was gonna ask is, who's gonna be the chairman? Will that be you? Or who will be the chairman? Cause we just have to, notify the state ethics board who the contact person is.
Well,
That's a new
if
law.
we need a motion, I'll move that Mr. Cope serve as chair of the ethics panel.
Okay.
We got,
so
well,
that's
let,
2 motions.
go, we got two
We got
motions.
two.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
need to establish a
I was
committee and then
pretty
come
sure.
back and elect
Yes,
a
let's
chair.
establish, we have a motion by Ms. Bass and a second by Mr. Zeckman on the establishment of the ethics committee. Any discussions over that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries, so.
Okay, I'm moving that Mr. Cope be installed as chair of the ethics committee.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Zeckman and a second by Mr. Colwell. Any discussion over that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
There's one other business, there's one other item in other business, and I neglected to get that to you. You approve every year an LEA, Local Education Association Compliance Report, which basically says that we are following, to the best of our knowledge, we are following all statutes related to education. You have approved that every year. We work every day to make sure that we are following that. But we need you to approve a report that I would submit saying Warren County is following all that. Let me give you an example of one time where we were not following all of that. Was based around background checks. If you remember, there was a law put in saying that everybody had to be background checked. We have worked over the course of the last 5 years before Mr. Pierce left to make sure that everybody's background checks were updated. I'm happy to say that we don't have to report that anymore, but that report would say that to our knowledge, to the best of our knowledge, we are following all rules and guidelines related to that. So again, I would make the recommendation that this board approve the LEA compliance report saying that Warren County School District is following all our laws and statutes related.
Need a motion on that?
I'll make a motion, Chair.
You got a motion by Mr. Colwell?
Second.
A second by Mr. Judkins. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our motion carries.
I will also say, just FYI, I did receive a email from TSBA last week, I believe, that said that we had all of our policies were also in compliance. I don't know if y'all got that.
Yeah, I think we all got that too, so.
It's a good thing.
I will have just one question, if I may. We just voted to accept their, $31,000 from the Altria settlement, the Jewel settlement. Have we heard anything on the Meta case, the social media case?
No, and the interesting thing, I did go to a school law attorney conference last week in Nashville. It was a national conference, but this is their first year, and they chose Nashville, so I got to attend. And it was really good, but they are telling people about it. They were like, oh, because there was some stuff around mental health and that sort of thing, and maybe the effects of that, and they were offering to people that they might want to join in that.
So there's not been a deadline?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So we hadn't even finished with letting people join
So
yet,
there's no deadline
apparently.
on that
Well,
as
they're
far as.
gonna make the
Apparently
pie,
not.
the pie slices a lot
But
smaller. but I
you will
hadn't-
see that in the settlement agreement, we were in the first group.
Yeah, and we're in the
So
first
we're
group
in the
on
first group
Group on
again.
that.
So
Okay.
that does make a difference
Yeah.
when you're, it also, the size, I think you probably know this, but if you looked at that, handout, it also has to do with our student population and our number of schools is how they calculate that, our piece.
It's the last item of note. We do have some third grade parent meetings tomorrow night at Centertown and West. Centertown being at 5, West being at 6:30. We'll finish those out next Monday at Morrison at 5 and Hickory Creek at 6:30. So again, it's a great opportunity for third grade parents to come and hear about the Tennessee Literacy Success Act, one of their favorite things.
Sure. All right, got a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right. A second? Second. All right. That's it.
Okay. All right. Good job.
Good job, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Good
sir.
job.
Good job.
Now you need to do is up that call.